Welcome back to the August Battle Harden here
July.
in July AGE Open in Redondo Beach / Lawndale, California. We're going to do something interesting this time around instead of what you've seen already. We're going to have a Dromai on stream, but it's a new Dromai you haven't seen on stream before because he's 2-0 on his birthday.
And we love him, and he's
Yeah.
one of the sweetest men probably on the planet.
Right.
His
Every Tuesday, he's a good guy in the community. He teaches.
He is, yeah, he's a teacher,
Special ed, I think.
special ed teacher. He
So
brought us
he-
fudge one armory.
He gives so much back to the community. It's time to put him on his birthday against Matthew Vore. I thought it was Tyler Horsfeld. I was
No.
like,
Against,
holy crap.
To be fair, against a very good player in Matthew Vore, this is going to be a hardy challenge for
Right.
our friend Chris. Matt Vore, Pro Tour competitor, battle hardened top 8, but 3 weeks ago here in Los Angeles. Just an absolute killer on Briar into the Dromai matchup. This is going to be tough for Chris to navigate, but I did see him win his round 1 against a Briar.
So he's got practice.
He does have some practice. Chris has been playing for quite a while, been pretty much on Dromai since he came to that first armory 6 or
I've
7
never
months
seen him
ago.
on another hero.
Yeah, so he does have a lot of practice in the deck, and we just love the guy. He's just so nice, and we're happy to see him doing well at this beginning part of the AGE Open. And he's been at so many of these that, a top 8, a top finish here, that could just
Bump him.
catapult him right into this Players' Championship.
Matthew Vore needs more points too. If we're going to do some pop culture for you, this Barbie has dragons, and this Barbie has rune chants.
I like that. That's some good pop culture. That's some
You see
good.
the Barbie movie
I
yet?
haven't.
Bruh.
Have you seen it?
Barbie minus, but it's pretty good.
Okay, Barbie minus. Also
Take that,
incredibly good.
Greta. I said it.
That's so funny.
No, it was a good movie. They just needed to write an ending, and then it would be a great. If you're not what is it called, movie guy, you are realizing that Matthew Vore is playing a new hero because he cannot play his what he played for every other AG, old him.
And instead of old him, he's on the Warden.
Ooh,
Come
I
on.
like that.
So interesting, instead of pivoting to like Azuri or Bravo, that we've seen a lot of these Oldhim players kind of move towards. Matt Vore showing that he is comfortable on many different heroes and playing a aggressive little Rune Blade. Chris going to go ahead and start. He's on the play here, pitching a blue, interestingly enough. So we're not going to be making any Ash off of the Command and Conquer. So those 2 cards in his hand either weren't reds, or he wants to keep them for his next turn. Do you see at least an Asvali in there?
Yeah,
But without any Ash, he's not going to be able to play that Asvali.
maybe he's got another plan. I don't know.
Yeah, so this is coming in for 6 here. Matt Vore doesn't want to just take the 6, even though it's turn 0 and he gets to draw up. So let's see. He does have a Runic Reclamation, which probably is in there just to be a popper, unless we're truly worried about burning them all.
Burn them all, baby. That's sick. That's gonna catch Chris. Or no, it's gonna be locked. I think one thing that's cool about this is this used to be a very bad matchup for our friend Dromai, and Chris was saying, you know what? I really like the idea of Lost in Thought. It's really good.
Yeah.
I like Lost in Thought,
I think it
and
is
that
good.
kind of makes the Briar matchup a little easier. Asvali goes into the arsenal for
Yeah,
later.
so Chris there, it did look like he went ahead and grabbed the Flame Scale Furnace to activate it, but because he had pitched the blue, he had 1 floating, so he wasn't able to pitch a
Oof.
red into the Flame Scale because he would have just had to use that 1 floating first. So Chris there, unfortunately not able to generate any Ash, so he's going to have to find a way to navigate that throughout the game. But Arcane damage coming in from this Bramble Spark, that's a nice way to do so. If you pitch to Arcane Barrier, he did bring the Null Rune Gloves, that is going to be a way to go ahead and give him some Ash as well. If that was fused, I didn't catch if he did manage to fuse this one. So this might just be.
I think the dice would be 8 if you fuse. Cause
Yeah.
that'd be,
So we are going to pitch the Arcane Barrier. We're going to make our very first Ash.
ooh.
And 5 damage is going to be covered up almost entirely by this Fate Foreseen. So only 1 damage coming
Ooh.
through to the Dromai player here.
Now you can use your furnace. Because you played a red card.
Oh, that's true. We'll see if he wants to do so at the end of Matt's turn. Instead, this is just going to be pitching the final card in our hand, which is the Force of Nature here. So this is going to be 1, 2, and 2. We're blocking 2 of the arcane damage, the Rune Chant, and 1 of the Rosetta Thorn by pitching a blue here.
If Briar wins today, it rotates, right? AGE gets 2 legend points.
7,000 points, actually.
God, get this Rosetta Thorn out of here. It's so hard to make this interesting when it's just the best weapon in the game. 2-2-2-2 forever and ever.
So we've AB'd the 1 off of the Rosetta Thorn, so we just have 2 more floating, or 2 more damage coming in off of the Rosetta, which is going to go ahead and be blocked by this Invoke Yenderai. So Chris moving into his turn with, I think, just that card in the arsenal, which is the Asvalai.
Which is a big pain, at least, of now I can do 3 damage to your turn unless you're going to start blocking. I would love for you to start blocking because I think Chris wants to probably keep his life total as high as possible, just waiting for those Channel Mount Heroic turns to survive through that. I think if you can pair your Lost in Thoughts for your opponent's second turn through their Channel Mount Heroic, that's probably the best high roll, quote unquote, you could do as Dromai right now in this matchup.
So Chris now critically out of Ash. He's going to have to navigate that because of that first turn being unable to make any Ash. We did find 2 attack actions and a non-attack off of our Sonata for Matt Vore here. He's at 36 to Chris's 38. So 1 arcane damage is going to be coming in, and we're going to see which attack does he want to grab between the blue Autumn's Touch or the Command and Conquer. We're just going to grab the blue here. It's an Earth card. It pitches, and 1 arcane damage coming across to Chris. Looks like he's going to take that, going to 37.
Chris said, tell someone who cares about Arcane, not me. Chris wearing the collection Battle Hardened shirt.
One of the incredibly fashionable offerings from the Arcane Games and Events.
What kind of green would you call that?
What kind of green would I call that? Ooh, that's a good question. I'd call that like a... If it was blue, it would be periwinkle. So if it's green, it's peri forest. Peri green.
Not mint.
No, not mint at all.
Trench green?
It's definitely not mint. Mint is like vibrant and like I don't know.
Dang.
It's like gray green. It's a really nice green.
Those t-shirt designers found dead in the ditch. It's not it. We've got the Ravenous Rabble. We flipped another Ravenous Rabble, so more what are those things on Ravenous Rabble? Have we figured out? They're not meeps. Are they mutated meeps?
I don't know. They're little like
they're rabbles.
Yep. They're out here straight rabbling. This is coming in for 4. Chris has an Asvalai that Matt Vore has yet to respect, but it does have 3 health, so we're going to have to throw 3 damage into it at some point if we want to clear it.
You can't really rabble at an Asvalai because if you hit a blue, you don't kill it because he's got 3 health. I think what's cool about Chris's deck is he printed off these, what are they called, proxies? The proxies he's printed off, I don't know if it's against the law, but they're really cool because they look like Marvels, but
yeah,
they have bigger health.
And they're way cheaper than a Marvel.
Yeah.
They do very they look very pretty as well. The nice full art. This is going to be
You can play this deck without $6,000. You just need a printer.
So it looks like we went ahead and blocked just 2 there with the Flame Scale Furnace. So we kept 2 little bits of life point total if we're Chris here. As we're going to ship the turn back to Matt. He's at 30. This is going to be coming in 4-3. This is a sweeping blow, so we're going to make 2 Ash, put a Kyloria on the bottom of the deck. 2 Ash, 3 damage coming in. It looks like he does have a Command and Conquer that he might be following this up with if he wishes to make another Ash.
As you can Flame Scale. There it goes. Ooh, I care more about the dragon. And now we're going to Uvia.
Yeah, so we're going to use 1 of the Ash on the Uvia, and we're going to see if he wishes to also create a Aether Ashwing as well as the Enter the Arena effect. Looks like we're going to pass on that, so this is just a big old chunky 6 health dragon that Matt's going to have to try to find a way to navigate through if he doesn't want Ashwings to eventually be able to kind of swarm the board. Though with the kind of lack of Ash that Chris is working with, it might be hard for him to do so in the foreseeable future.
Swarm the board. Swarm the board. There's the Ravenous into a blue. Just take it, Chris.
Yeah, he said
damage with Gogan. If it doesn't have meeps on it, I don't care.
I'm so excited to see how that card enters into this metagame. Meeps are cool.
It's because you play against so many Dash players all the time.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why you love meeps.
Yeah, dude, for real. This is going to be a Lightning Surge now from Arsenal coming in for 4 with the Go again because it came from the Arsenal. Chris here's got 4 cards to work with, 1 Ash and an Uvia. We're just going to block 3 with a Dust Up, taking 1, going to 27.
Dust Up is like either the worst card ever or like so good.
What do you mean? How could it be the worst card?
It's just like, oh, 0 for 4, who cares? But when you have Ash and like, it's like a combo finisher after your opponent's like, I'll take 12. There's no way you have 16.
Yep.
and then you dust up afterward, they're just like, oh my god.
It also, with the
Easy
action
stop.
points from Dromai, can have go again if
Right.
you are able to bank up action points from that dragon. However, this is going to be a commotion hit, so we got it.
After Nimbleism, 7 damage.
True,
Coax.
absolutely. So this is even more. We're going to make a quicken token. Doesn't look like we're drawing any cards or gaining any life. We're just setting ourselves up with go again for later.
Dang. 27 to 20, because we got the double sigil. Tricked ya. Double sigil into Dromai.
So
Gain 6, do 3. Is that enough? Enough to stick around?
we're going to go ahead and play the first sigil from our hand. We're going to go ahead and play out a Dromai, which is going to be able to attack without fear of the turn just ending because of the action point generation. The question is, does Chris want to kind of create another Ash? He should be at 0 here. So the question is, does he want to create another Ash by pitching the Flamescale Furnace, or does he want to gain 3 life? So we're not going to pop anything yet. We're just going to block with their Autumn's Touch. So we're going to next go ahead and swing in with the Uvia. If he has a popper, does he want to commit it? And the answer is no. We're taking 1 more damage, going to 32.
I think you put this in an arsenal for a bluff, and then it turns on all your dragons next turn too. Quicken token doesn't work on allies?
Weapon or attack action, I think.
Whoa.
Yeah, you're right. That's cool. So he's able to just hang out with that quicken token.
That's gross.
That's pretty cool. Hey, there you go. There's your dust up.
There's your dust up!
If he runs the Enlightened Strike.
Dude.
CNC with go again seems pretty good.
There's your dust up. Snatch with go again seems pretty great.
Also really good. So
Hit a
let's
dragon,
see.
draw a card, start your turn.
Getting rid of the Dromai there. We already have, so it's basically just kill Dromai for free. And we've played our attack action if we need to worry about Rosetta Thorn later.
How you feeling about this yellow hat?
How am I feeling about it?
Yeah.
It's pretty in line with how I've seen Matt Vore kind of present himself at all of these tournaments so far.
Okay.
That's how I'm feeling, yeah.
It's kind of
How are
an
you feeling?
interesting color for stream. I've never seen a yellow. Because it looks, whenever he puts his head forward, it's a different color.
Oh,
and
on
it's
the
side
actual,
by side.
I do
it's
see what
so
you're talking
cool.
about there. I do see what you're talking about there. This Sonata is going to go ahead and hit, by the way, is Sonata for X equals 0, hitting a red lightning surge going to hand. So the 1 arcane damage now coming across to Chris. I think I like the yellow better on the player cam versus the yellow that comes into the game board cam.
Interesting.
You know?
It's like a Schrodinger shade of yellow.
I see.
I actually like this yellow in the
In the game board better.
yeah, interesting. That's why people are different.
Agree to disagree?
No, it's fine.
No. I'm upset. I'm
We're
very
gonna take
upset.
the arcane because we don't want to pitch. We need our cards to do something to Briar.
Ooh, that's
Is
an
this
Anthem of
the
Spring.
new one?
Yeah, it is.
What does it do? What does it do?
We're giving our next attack +1 with go again, and then maybe it has other text, but I know that if you do the Unity, you get an embodiment.
Of Earth.
Yeah, so this is just going to give this Autumn Touch go again here. We're going to block 6 on it.
There goes our good dragons.
And here comes 2 and 2 from the Rosetta Thorn.
Just take it because you have a sigil to block most of it. And now here comes a 7 damage Enlightened Strike. Or maybe he wants probably want an Arsenal card if you want an Arsenal card because you have a Quicken token, probably.
So we're going to start off. Let's just get
Sage.
3 life out of the way here, going back up to 21.
I think Sigils on Dromai is just so good because most decks don't have 60 damage that they're doing. If you're preoccupied with dragons and their sigils, then you're like, oh crap, I ran out of damage and I'm on my blues now.
Yeah. So we did go ahead and draw the card. It does have go again, which is quite nice. However, that on this turn is most likely just going to turn into an attack with the Uvia here because we drew a Fate Foreseen, which is exactly the kind of card Chris wants to plop into his arsenal.
Yeah. I love that for him.
So we're not able to establish any other threats or do any more damage after this, but this is going to follow up with the Uvia. Is there a popper that wants to be committed? The answer is negatory. We're taking 1 more damage and plopping that Fate Foreseen to the arsenal. Matt Vore on 26, going into his next turn to Chris Stidger's 21. He's starting the turn off with a Toma Harvest, pitching that Warmonger's Diplomacy. So we're going to go ahead and draw 3 cards, and we have half of our Embodiment of Lightning right on the way.
Gentleman Heroic followed up right away. Currently, there's not an Earth card in pitch, so we got to have another one if we want to use it. Don't think there's another Earth. I like the idea of Uvia from Chris because the 1 damage pressure, it's kind of not worth popping.
especially without all the ash that can threaten the Ashwings.
Right. So it's kind of like having a big Ashwing there, just chilling of. Normally you would have killed this 1 damage one by now, but you can't just throw it. You can't throw like a Rosetta at me because there's no point.
Mm-hmm.
We are going to do damage to Uvia, so we are wasting a lot of stuff for Matt right now. But because it's a Coax, we get to replace it with another card. Now we have a Quicken.
And we've committed our Snapdragon Scalers. So we do have to, that's gone for the turn, though we now have a lot of cards that we've already seen, played, and are working with. 5 cards left in the hand after playing 2 and pitching another.
That second card could be an Earth card.
Yeah.
If we do want to turn on this Channel Mount Heroic.
Looks like we're going to start off with a Scar first card. This isn't going to have Go again, though, because we're at 26 to Chris Stidger's 21, but it is going to have Go again to the Quicken token, of course. So that's going to just be blocked out by this Fate Foreseen for covering up 4. And we found the pitch. We found the blue Autumn's Touch, so this is going to be a Channel Mount Heroic, creating that embodiment of lightning. Here's our next and
7.
third and final Coax a Commotion with Go again for 7, coming at Chris here.
And then the next card is probably a Rosetta Thorn to kill Uvia, which is such a good, like, I wasted part of your turn by doing this, of just you have to go after Uvia.
Yeah, but now 2 defense reactions here for Chris. The second sink below going to go ahead and...
Doesn't kill Uvia. Uvia heals.
Wow, Uvia going back to 6 because that defense reaction not going to allow Matt to draw any more cards to maybe he values having that card in his arsenal rather than killing Uvia here. So Matt did a whole lot, and at the end of the day, pretty much just was able to establish the Channel Mount Heroic, which, hey, that's a pretty good card.
Oh my gosh, these Quicken tokens making my Enlightened Strike the best card in my deck. Did not expect that if you're Chris. 5 draw again. 5 go again draw.
Pretty good. 2 Quicken tokens.
Pretty good,
yeah,
baby.
He's utilizing those Quicken tokens very nicely off the Coax Commotions. We've seen all 3 now out of Matt Vore. So 21 to 21 here after the 5. We're going to go ahead and attack with Uvia. Let's see. Did he draw a popper? That he wants to commit.
Pretty much everything's a popper now because of Channel Mount Heroic.
Oh, so he's always drawn the popper. So we are going to go ahead and pop, which means let's see if Chris wants to pitch to Flame Scale before the turn ends. Looks like he's thinking about, does he want to do so? He is going to go ahead and end the turn by pitching away a Ravenous Rabble. So start our next turn with an Ash. So now if you're Matt here, you've only had to commit 1 card to block. You killed the Uvia finally. You got 4 other cards to work with, and we're starting our turn off with just a Lightning Surge for 7 from the arsenal, and we see now why he didn't want to pitch to his Rosetta Thorn.
And that's kind of like, okay, why do you attack there with Uvia if you're Chris? Uvia attacking basically blocks 7. So, great. Like, if I'm Chris, I'm like, okay, I'll take that.
Yep. So we're blocking for 6 here for Chris. Just going to mitigate life on this Channel Mount Heroic turn. We took 1, going down to 20. This is going to be an Enlightened Strike.
10.
Most likely for just a big number. Let's see if they represent it for us. Is he grabbing dice?
Too many dice.
Is he grabbing them? It looks like he is. Yeah, this is just straight 10. We're keeping an arsenal. So here was 17 off of 3 cards, and we're keeping an arsenal for later. Those numbers check out.
Just take 10, Chris. Put some dragons out.
Yeah, just take it.
I mean, he's only got 1 Ash, so that is kind of the determining factor. If he had done his... we got a Seeker's Shoes coming around, Seeker Leggings every once in a while. We're blocking 5. That's a halfway there type of thing. Not going to sink anything.
Blocking 5, taking 5, so clearly wants to keep whatever that last card is for something on this turn. We'll see what it is momentarily. Matt's drawn up his 21 to Chris's 15. 37 minutes left in the round, so this will not be...
Rake.
Going to time. This is going to be a Rake the Embers, so we're going to make 3 and go out of Ash now.
Dude,
so
yeah, the Ashwing's hiding behind Dromai.
Oh,
he's not making all 3.
Yeah, it looks like he's just going to make 2 of those Ashwings here to keep himself with Ash for later in the game. So we took 5 to establish these 2 Ashwings and leave ourselves with an Ash. If we're the Dromai player here, it probably isn't the greatest of feelings, but now that Channel Mount Heroic is off, Briars can brick.
Briars can brick.
We're on a Tunic turn here.
That's probably why Matthew kept the Nimblism in Arsenal, so he didn't brick. And he has the ability to Tome of Harvest, potentially.
Absolutely, because here is a Bramble Spark. We're going to fuse with Tome of Harvest, and then now after we fused, we're pitching our final cards with our Tunic to
that
drop
was a
3
break.
more.
He had 5 non-attack actions in a row.
Wow, absolutely.
Jeez Louise.
Just having the tome there to filter through that non-attack heavy hand is just incredible, because now we have an embodiment of lightning. We're giving our next attack go again. We have maybe another channel and heroic in hand and a swarming gloom veil here. So we are pitching to create a rune chant. We're pitching the Anthem of Spring.
If you're the Vore brothers' mom at home, you're like, thank God he saved that card in Arsenal to do Tome of Harvest.
Yeah, because now look at this. This is going to go ahead and come in for a good chunk. This is going to be an additional 3 on top from the Bramble Spark, 2 Arcane, 1 from the Bramble Spark, 1 from the Rune Chant.
Jeez Louise.
So we're pitching 2 to AB, both of the Arcane damage. We've got 1 floating. This is now going to be coming in for 7, because we've made 2. We've made 2 auras, haven't we, Blake? 2.
Oh, yeah. And if it hits, that makes the third aura. That's not how that works, don't worry. So far, no lost in thoughts for Chris, though.
Not that we've seen be able to be played.
So are they coming to really mess with Matt at the end here? If he blocks a lot and Matt does not shuffle his deck, Matt's going to have a 0 in game. Like, Matt, based on how many non-attack actions he just drew into, is about to draw 5 attacks in a row.
So we're going to take 3 more going to 12, and then here's the Rosetta Thorn taking out 1 of the Ashwings, and then 2 more arcane damage. Going to take Chris down to 11, because he has the 1 floating available to put to his arcane barrier. Keeping 2 cards here, so Matt Vore, I think he has a Channel Man Heroic in his arsenal. He's at 19 life, I believe he does, to Chris's 11. We're starting off with the Ravenous Rival. Let's reveal off the top to see a Sigil of Solace, which is now going to be something Matt's going to have to think about on his next turn.
Warmongers. I don't want to play that card anymore.
So, yeah, we're blocking 3, taking 1, taking an additional 1 from the Aether Ashwing, and then an arsenal for Chris here. So we've only got 1 Ashwing, we've got 1 Ash. Matt's working off of 5 cards, and 1 of them, or 4 cards, and I think 1 of them is a channel.
Which is another non-attack in a row. Look how many non-attacks.
Oh my
God.
God.
What are we doing?
So we're playing out the Channel Man Heroic.
Shuffle your deck.
We're playing a Channel Man Heroic. We're making an embodiment of lightning, but we had all non-attacks, so we're passing from there.
Jeez Louise, Matt. That's crazy. I'm so sorry.
So from here now, looking at Chris, he's bought himself a turn off of the bricks. He's got a sand cover in his arsenal. We start the turn off here with a Burn the Maul, going to represent unpreventable arcane damage. No arcane barrier represented by the Briar opponent. So because we have go again now, here's the thing. This is just looking for a popper.
Tumultai in your hand without a blue to pay for it sucks.
Yeah, so we went ahead and
Dust up.
looking here, this is going to be a Dust over 4. I don't think those are Snapdragon Scalers. They look like they're Seeker's Leggings.
Those are Seeker legs.
Yeah, so this is just going to be a quick 4 block from Matt. We're putting the other Channel Man Heroic from our arsenal to the bottom of the deck and drawing a card.
He's like, please give me an attack. I'm tired of this.
Yeah, so unfortunately, even though Chris was able to find a little bit of a window, we are only able to present a total of 6 damage. Gain 3 life, which is important.
Right.
But looking at Matt's hand, he's got Embodiment of Lightning, he's got a Channel Man Heroic, and it looks like he is primed to take over this game.
Both players kind of bricked at the same time, so they both kind of were like, let's set up. Briar's setup is a little better than Dromai's setup on a brick turn, though.
Yeah, unfortunately, not looking easy for... Oh, and we see a Force of Nature fuse, so our next attack is getting +4 here, and it looks like we did find an attack, and it's an Enlightened Strike that's going to have go again off the back of this.
11?
Embodiment of Lightning. So go again, maybe draw a card, maybe more damage, and then if it hits, we're drawing even more.
Embodiment Lightning's from before, because Embodiments of Lightning do not break it into turn.
Seems good.
Whenever that was first explained to me in 2004, I was like, oh my God, that's busted.
Looked up from your Yu-Gi-Oh game.
Yeah. I think it's interesting as we get further into card design for this game of like homages to other games. Like there's at least 4 cards in Dusk Till Dawn that were Yu-Gi-Oh cards before.
Mm-hmm.
There's some other like, clear Magic cards that are like, we're also going to like do a brainstorm of our own.
Mm-hmm.
Well, how do you feel about that, the homage?
I kind of like it.
Okay.
Yeah, I kind of feel like, because the LSS, they're all normal people who are just card game fans.
Right.
Seeing them put things that they love from their childhood or other games like into the game that they make themselves, I kind of like that.
I'm just looking for like a Professor Oak or a Charizard. That's what I want in the next set.
So it looks like we did choose the draw here. This is coming in for a total of 9. 8 of it is going to be blocked by both a Sand Cover and an Oasis Respite. So we're going ahead and
Healing.
Gaining 1 and then taking 1 from the damage here. But because a point of damage comes across, we are drawing off of the effect of the force of nature. So if we can keep going, this looks like it might be a pretty crazy turn because now we've got a Swarming Gloomveil. This is coming in for 6. We have made an embodiment of Earth, so this is going to have go again. If it hits, we're drawing another card. Chris only has 2.
Dude, I forget about the card draw.
Yeah, so we have to block the 6 here for Chris because we can't let any more cards get drawn.
No!
But we have a Scar for a Scar. This one right now not going to have any go again, so it's just going to take Chris down 7 more points of life, and we just have to Arsenal here for Matt because we did not find a way to get go again. The Channel Man Hero is going away, but Chris, he's going to be able to attack for 1 and 1 Arcane, but that's all on this turn given that we have no cards left in our hand.
1 and 1 Arcane, though.
Gonna
That's
take-
an 8-turn clock, Matt.
That's gonna take. That's gonna take 8 down. Matt, he's looking at it. Does he want to do anything after this arcane damage?
We just got handed the deck list 30
Just in
minutes
time.
into. Yeah.
Just in time.
Thanks, guys. Dude. Both of these players are part of the I am going to print my list out instead of handwrite it. I always find that interesting of who does that. So I think it says a lot. That means they're more calculated. They plan ahead.
So it does look like a Command and Conquer there, committed to the Ashwing, popping that dragon. So
Great.
this is just a. So hey, what did we talk about at the beginning of the game, huh?
I want to get rid of your burn 'em all. I'm
And what-
tired of this 8-turn clock.
And what is this Runic Reclamation threatening?
The pop of burn 'em all.
And we are going to go ahead and block
Oh!
7 with the Vincerikai and the Sand
Dude.
Cover, covering that all up. So like we've said, we've seen a lot of non-attacks in a row. We've seen a lot of attacks in a row here for Matt. Is Chris going to be able to establish much of any pressure? Here is a Ravenous Rabble. It is for 4. Matt's working off 5 cards on his next turn. Looks like he's going to go ahead and take 4, going down to 12.
Command and Conquer's in hand, which kind of sucks because we're not going to make an Ash. We're not going to do anything with it.
So it looks like we are losing the cards from our graveyard for Burn Them All here. We've established Command and Conquer in our arsenal, so let's start off from
Ooh.
Matt's turn here. It's not a
Runic.
mechanics for 0. 2 attacks.
Snatch.
3
Snatch.
attacks in a row. That is going to be a whiff off the Sonata Arcanics. No arcane damage. Nothing established here or developed.
But you shuffle your deck.
You do
Needed to
shuffle.
do that.
So-
Needed to do that.
Necessary.
This is probably the worst shuffled Briar deck I've ever seen. Because legitimately, I think at one point he drew 7 non-attack actions in a row, and I think he was, with those 3 attacks, I think he's 8 of 9 attacks with the last cards.
How do you think Matt feels going from like the just powerhouse of consistency that is old him, and like you really
Yeah.
don't ever have to worry about drawing anything because all your cards do everything and just block so effectively, to being at the whim and will and whimsy of fate?
I feel like he consistently hates when it breaks.
For sure. Look at that yellow hat.
Totally fine.
This is going to be an Earth Lore Surge, which is going to make this Scar for a Scar have go again off the back from Embodiment of Lightning. Is coming in for 9 with the go again. We have the 1 floating for the Rosetta Thorn. We have a card in our arsenal. I mean, even though we bricked off that Sonata, we are still setting ourselves up here for a powerful turn.
Block 6, take 3, down to 4. As long as you don't have 2 lightning presses, I'm good. I don't think there's any lightning presses, are there?
Ooh, but look at this now. A Swarming Gloomveil for an additional 4 before the Rosetta Thorn comes across. So this is, again, Matt, he didn't even really need that Sonata. It was mostly just to turn on
There's
his...
that one.
Yeah, so
Didn't
this
need that. Gain a health.
Oasis Respite, covering up all 4 of the Swarming Gloomveil damage and taking Chris from 4 to 5. But here's a Rosetta Thorn for 2 and 2. That's probably going to take Chris down from 5 to 1.
No! Chris, it's your birthday. You gotta pull this out of nowhere.
Chris here, unfortunately, no dragons represented for that Burn Them All. He just has to banish and pass. Matt 4 working off of 4 cards. Can he find the 1 damage? He's shuffled the deck. We see a Nimblism. We see a Nimblism. We see a Command and Conquer. Can he find the
Those
1 damage
cards don't
here?
go together. Tome doesn't go together. That looks like a bad hand. You gotta get through this, Chris. What sucks about this is as long as he can turn on Rosetta, the game is over.
Unless we
So
develop
there's a
another-
non-attack action. I think we'll see an attack,
Yeah,
but it's just Command and Conquer for 11.
which, you know, I've heard of worse things to stare
And
down.
I think that's game because you can see the fate for scene.
Yeah,
for everything.
He can't play
Wow.
the scene, so that's only going to block 9. 2 damage coming across Matt
No.
on Briar, taking down the birthday boy, establishing himself
Happy birthday.
Matt Vore, official villain of July AGE Open,
Jeez.
crushing dreams of birthday boys left and right. But, you know, at the end of the day, we're here to play for all the marbles. We're here to play for the win.
Right.
We're here to get into this Players' Championship. So even though Chris is one of the nicest guys in the world, we need to destroy him with impunity.
Right.
If we're Matt here.
And if Chris wants to go on a heel turn, he could just put his sunglasses on from his shirt and just be really moody the whole rest of the day for his birthday. That's something out of my playbook or whatever.
Is that what you do?
I don't know. I haven't worn sunglasses.
I don't think I've ever seen you wear the sunglasses.
That'd be cool. That's like a World Series of Poker thing from 2004. I don't know if you were watching those when you would come home from school.
Poker?
Yeah, poker on ESPN.
Very
ESPN
rarely.
2.
Very rarely was I watching the poker.
Well, if you look behind us, there's another yellow.
There is
Yellow's
another yellow.
so weird on stream.
But if you can take a look, it's pretty cool to see all the players still very much in the throes of their rounds. 22 minutes left on the clock here.
Wow.
So what do you think? You think Briar's looking good? I know no living legend points from this turn here, but doing well. 3-0 going into the next round.
Was there meeps in that list for Matt? No.
No meeps.
No meeps.
Three
No
unmovable,
yellows.
though. 3 unmovable. That's interesting.
Against-
3 runic reclamation as well. You got to imagine that's for the poppers. Just the one so tomorrow.
I think what's interesting is we talked about Rudin is bringing Prism today.
Yes.
And I don't know if I think you were on stream for round 2. I was over there looking, and he was at one point down 32-6 against Reinar. So it is kind of rough to bring that against your bad poppers matchup, probably. What other new heroes? We got Vincent is maybe
John Zapata was on Vincent. He was 1 or 2-0 heading into this round, so would love to see some Vincent. Was talking to him. He's got some cool tech.
Right.
We are going to go ahead and take a very short break here. We're going to get Matt Vore in, a Pro Tour competitor. He's going to take some of his time from his heel turn to talk about Briar and the tournament. So we will see you shortly. Don't you go anywhere. Let's talk to Matt.
All right, we're with Matt Vore, who wanted to have Chris Sucks as his tagline, but then we realized he just played a Chris. So Chris Ayali Sucks as your tagline.
Stop cheating on Talishar.
Shots at him. Congrats on 3-0 so far through 3 rounds. That's perfect.
You know,
does it feel perfect?
The deck's running really well. That last game, I think there was a couple stumbles with drawing multiple non-attacks, and then I ended up having a misplay. I thought it was correct to sink the blue, and then not realizing that I still had swarming in my hand. So the plan was, like, if he full blocked, and then I would have had no go again unless the swarming hit after. So I should have sunk one of the Scar for Scars and then made a rune chant into swarming instead, which would have had guaranteed go again. Although it worked out that time, but in the future, you know, I just got to play better.
Well, the good thing is neither me or Sam saw that. So you looked perfect. There was like 8 non-attack actions in 9 cards. There was 7 attacks in 8 cards. How do you get through that as a Briar player?
In the Dromai matchup, it's a little weird. Sometimes you end up just swinging a Coax at a Dragon to clear, and then I think I did it once in the game where you end up making a Quicken, and I had to break my snaps just to have a real turn. But you can have off turns as Briar. You just need, like, my deck had a lot of poppers as well, so left in the deck. So taking an off turn to just attack for 4 and then get some cards and then potentially pop the next turn and just basically redraw. I think a common misconception with Briar is that she doesn't want to block at all, and especially with the most important, honestly, cards in Briar, I think, are the non-attack actions that block for 3. So there's 3 in my deck specifically, which is Channel Mount Heroic, which most of the time you don't want to be blocking with. However, you can if, you know, Snatch for 4, block for 4 just makes sense, and especially if you can't play it. The new card, Warmonger's Diplomacy, and then Force of Nature. So a lot of the time the Briar plan is like swing 1 attack if you don't have a big turn, like just for 4, so they have to have a break point in the aggro mirror, or you get an embodiment and all of a sudden now my deck blocks like I have a sink below in every
That's
every
crazy.
hand, so.
Yeah, you can get your value that way. The thing that we saw in your deck list that we were like, what is this for? 3 runic reclamation. What's going on with that?
So the way I got my deck mainly was from Chris. So there was like a main board of all the Briar, like basically what we've had since Worlds, since we were playing. And mainly he was arguing for running the Runic Reclamation because, one, it's very good against Viscerai. It's a popper. It came up in the game against Dromai where he had Burn Them All out, so he was forced to block 7 unless I gained a damage and blew up his Burn Them All. And it's also very good in the aggro or the Briar Mirror because you can potentially blow up Channel Mount Heroic.
Oh, yeah.
So it's mainly just a sideboard card, but the matchups you wanted, it's very impactful.
Okay. Unmovable. don't worry about it, or you're gonna be playing a ranger one day
I
probably.
I don't think a movable is mainly for Bravo. I think, and it actually turned out citing 3 of them in today was definitely the right call with how many Bravos there were. I haven't don't know the exact breakdown, but I've seen at least 5, I believe. So
Jesus.
a lot of the time, one of the common Bravo playlines is if you have Channel Mount Heroic out or you do a smaller turn, they take a bunch of damage even though it's only for 4, just so they can dominate back or pummel you.
Right.
And one of the ways that Briar falls behind is Bravo chaining multiple of these big disruption effects in a row, and then you just can't, you get locked out of the game effectively. And a movable fills a slot where if Bravo wants to take a bunch of my damage to swing back a dominate attack, hopefully am able to punish one of the movable, stop the crush effect, and then also have a follow-up turn. So he has to either take damage again to try and attack me, or block, and then I can set up bigger turns to attack his hand and such.
Hell yeah. So we're looking at the standings. 15th place. Is there any pressure today?
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of pressure. A lot of our teammates are up there on the list as well, so I was kind of hoping.
Who are you gonna pass today? Let's look at this.
Tyler, I need to pass Tyler. That's just on principle. We're both
Oh
playing
my
Briar.
goodness.
He's, claimed that he's the better Briar player, which he probably is. He's been playing Briar a long time. However, I'm trying to get back into playing other decks since Oldham's been removed from the meta in the game for now.
But if you do get in the top 16, you got to come to California again. Is it stressful to come to California once a month, or is it still fun?
Most of the time it's fun because we drive over from Arizona, for those who don't know, and it's a long car ride, but 4 guys in the car, we either listen to a podcast, jam out to music,
God,
and
I would kill myself.
talk about just the game in general. We love
Yeah.
playing Fab, and traveling 6 hours isn't really a downside for us. It's over the weekend, we don't lose anything, so makes
Who'd
sense.
you trick to drive?
Jake Torres drove us,
Oh, yeah.
but we rotate, so not everyone drives
Dude.
their car, and the
If
whole
it was
time.
my turn, I'd be like, oh, my stomach.
Guys, I'm sick, and then
Dude, I had somebody brought me today, and I got a different car ride on the way home. I'm killing it today on car rides. Anything else? Like Diadec Carapace, is that like what a card? Or are you like, man, this is boring, but it makes my deck better against everything?
So Tyler had some different thoughts. If he gets on stream, so he can talk about it, or in the
But
booth.
we're
he
not
can
putting Tyler on this at all today.
Um,
Good luck.
So my deck has the interesting choice of having 3 different chess pieces between Tunic, Carapace, and the Aether Ironweave. Me and Chris were talking because Tyler was like kind of busy this weekend. I think he wrote an article about Prism and such, so I wasn't able to get his opinion much. But me and Chris weren't really able to figure out when, like, between the 3 chess pieces. That's like kind of like the biggest disruption or like choice between my deck right now, I think. Because normally you want to run Aether Ironweave and like anything that you're racing, because you can get 2 extra pitch and like command and conquer and
Right.
swing the game. But at the same time, the Carapace blocking multiple times in a game, turning off multiple on hits might be worth the slot, or worth sliding in, for example, against like Lexi, so you can stop a break point and another break point. So I'm still not sure. It's definitely a good card because there's also Wizard players, and this kind of just makes you. It kind of needed.
Impervious to wizards, right?
It kind of Runeblade as a whole needed it as I think AB2, because one, their deck's not very good at pitching, so they want anything more than 3 ABs useless, and AB2 I feel like is kind of like the sweet spot where they're able to pitch if they want to against wizards. And before they had no option to sideboard anything for wizard. Basically, they either had a shock charmers, or if you're a Runeblade only, like not Briar, you had to run the Crown of Dichotomy and then Vexing Cool Hands. So it kind of shores up some slots.
Hell yeah. Well, we're looking forward to you top 8ing again. It would be how many tournaments here in a row? At least 3 in a row.
3 in a row.
Dude, what was that Sunday when you left and you were like 2 top 8s? Like Evan beat you was so annoying. Like we have this moment on stream. Like on that Sunday when you were all said and done, I feel like you were one of the top performers that weekend. Was that something where you're like, man, I feel good, or did you want to win?
I mean, obviously I wanted to win, but I was happy with my performance, and the last time playing Oldham, it's nice to go out with a bang almost. And I beat a lot of talented players. Unfortunately, Brody was able to get the best of me twice because
Right.
Kid Wonders apparently he's got 15 PTIs.
Oh
and,
my god.
But it was
He's
great
coming
playing.
for commentator jobs now.
It was a great
Boo.
great time playing against him, as well as everyone else that I played over the weekend. So, and hopefully I'll be back in August.
You will. You will. Well, congrats and good luck for the rest of the day. And we'll say go Briar to get her LL.
Go Briar.